In a 2021 interview with New York pro football expert Larry Schmitt, we learned a lot about Ace Parker. Here is part of that interview.
Who do you have up next for our number sevens of all time?
I have Clarence Ace Parker of the Brooklyn Dodgers and also the Boston Yanks and the New York Yankees of the All-America Conference, which is a little bit of a story in and of itself because that's still all one franchise.
Right.
Parker started with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1937, and he was a do-it-all player. He was a leader. He was a passer. He was a rusher. He played strong defense, and he led, I think he was the NFL's MVP in 1940. And in 1940 and 1941, the Dodgers actually had a very, very strong team. They were contenders for the East. They finished second both years. And, Parker was the guy on the team. And they were actually, during those couple of years, considered in the New York area on the same plateau as the Giants, who were always, the kings of football in New York.
Right, and he was another triple threat player back then.
He was.
Two-way player, great ball player.
He was. He was probably the best player in New York at the time, other than Mel Hein. But, Mel Hein was the center. He was, Parker was the ball handler. But then, 1941, like many, many, many players, he had his football career interrupted by World War II, and he spent 3 years in the service. When he came back in 1945, when the war was over, because of the man shortage, they changed their name to the Tigers in 1944. In 1945, the Brooklyn Tigers merged with the Boston Yanks. So Parker was the quarterback for the Boston Yanks for one season. It was planned to just be a one-year merger, like the Pitt-Phil-Steagles and Card-Pitt. But the All-America Conference was being formed, and the owner of the Tigers decided he wanted to jump leagues and get involved with the All-America Conference. So when they unmerged in 1946, the Brooklyn Tigers became the New York Yankees of the All-America Conference with Parker as their quarterback. And the Yankees actually had a very good season. They won the East, and they played the Cleveland Browns in the first All-America Conference championship game.
I've read an interesting story on that, why they end up changing from the NFL to the AFC. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but according to what I read, the Maras were upset because the Yankees wanted to play in just across the river in the stadium. Yeah, the Giants, that's part of their territory. You can't do that. Go back out to Brooklyn and play. You're too close to our fan base. And
right.
The gentleman, I forget his name, who owned the Yankees at the time, decided, hey, well, forget it. We're going to join this other league so we can
That's
get
right.
into the
There
city.
would have been an entry fee, which, this is, I don't want to get too much off topic, but that was a very, very, very expensive competition that, the All-America Conference and the NFL had against each other competing for players. Player salaries went way, way up, and this is right after the war. And, Yankee Stadium was walking distance from the Polo Ground. You just walk right over the bridge across the Harlem River. And, sometimes the two teams will be playing at the same time. And they're, competing, so the Giants' attendance goes down because some players go across the river to watch Ace Parker with the Yankees.
Jeez. That's an amazing time.
By jumping leagues, they don't have to pay an entry fee to the Giants because they're competing with the NFL. And it was, I can't remember the Brooklyn owner's name, but he had a very famous quote that I found in several of the newspapers where he claimed the NFL as being a racket by the Big Four, meaning the Giants, the Redskins, the Bears, and the Packers. He said the whole system is rigged. Nobody else gets a chance.
And that's part of what had Commissioner Burt Bell. That was what he used as his evidence of why to start the NFL draft, which we know was probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to
certainly
the NFL. So, wow, great stories on Ace Parker too. Wow, definitely making our list here of our greatest number sevens.